following video will contain spoilers for Batman Arkham Shadow, but it's been like 3 months since the game dropped, and if you haven't played it or haven't watched a playthrough of it by now and you're clicking on this video, what are you doing?
Someday, the bad people will get what they deserve. I will hunt him down and make him pay.
Bruce!
Damn.
Sit down!
I'll help you find the person who took your parents, and you can make him pay.
All right, stop it. Listen to me, both of you. What you're talking about is revenge. That's not justice.
But in the end, he was beyond saving.
No, nobody is beyond saving. I know that much now.
Oh my god, I get it.
Okay, I'm gonna need like at least a trilogy out of Camouflaj. Please, can we do that, WB? Can we please do that? This game is so good. Please keep in mind that 8 months ago, I was Arkham Shadow's biggest frickin' hater.
New Arkham game. I awoke from a deep slumber and was informed that there was a quote-unquote new Arkham game. I don't get it. I don't understand. They're just throwing the Arkham name on anything.
I didn't want another VR Arkham game. Who wanted another VR Arkham game? I say this as someone who has been a VR enjoyer for a very long time. I have the original PlayStation VR. I have a Gear VR, if that even counts. I have an Oculus Rift OG. I've played many a VR game, but honestly, like a lot of other people, I was very much so under the impression that VR had not evolved much since the late 2010s, and it still felt very gimmicky. Arkham Shadow proved me quite wrong on that, obviously. But of course, like so many other people, all I wanted was just a normal, regular entry into the Arkham franchise again, or really anything. I mean, like, we have gotten a lot of Batman games in recent history, so it would be cool to get something else as long as it's not Suicide Squad or Avengers or Gotham Knights or really just anything overly live service. Then Camouflaj had to come along and just completely blow everyone's expectations out of the water by making a masterpiece of a VR game. Like, probably the best VR game ever. Definitely the best VR game I've ever played. Literally the only thing that's comparable is supposedly Half-Life Alyx, but I've never touched that. I mean, it's clear that Camouflaj put an absurd amount of effort into making an accurate recreation of the Arkham games. From everything to the mechanics of stealth and combat, right down to making the points of interest in the Gotham sections looking as close to what we remember from the other games as possible, even if the lore reasons they gave weren't quite enough for me to be satisfied with the new gadget designs or the night influence in the menu and suit, but it still feels more like nitpicking the more and more I yap about it. Okay, this game's story though. Oh my god. Months ago, I made a video about how Batman in the Arkhamverse lacks empathy, or at least just doesn't seem to treat people very well.
One of his, like, very first lines in Arkham Asylum, and it was right after he take down Victor Zsasz. He just calls him an animal.
Someone put this animal back in his cell.
Like, what? It does not seem very heroic, Bruce. It doesn't seem like you're viewing these people as people, obviously. You're kind of calling them animals. Okay, that seems obvious now that I say it out loud. I mean, if he's not killing some of these people, he's like certainly ruining their lives and like permanently crippling them. Like, it's like, have you seen the clip with the electric box? I mean, you've certainly done this to a person when you play Knight, right? Like, it's super badass, but also like, that dude is dead.
It literally makes the story about Bruce learning empathy for the criminals that he's been beating to a pulp for the last 2.5 years or however long it's been. It's perfect! The Matches Malone persona gives Bruce the ability to infiltrate Blackgate and ample time to socialize with the people of the criminal underworld. He begins to understand and relate to the rat cult better, coming to the realization that they truly just want vengeance. So one thing Bruce has wanted for years, even going so far as to create an alternate persona claiming to be that very concept. Now the rat's primary motivator in causing terror on Gotham. And for most of the sections in Gotham City, it pretty much feels like Bruce is being driven by vengeance. He doesn't care to actually go and spend time with Lee. He needs to prevent crime. Until, of course, the crime is near Lee, in which case, of course, he's gonna go help Leslie. But is he actually stopping these crimes because he really cares all that much about the people of Gotham? No, he's imagining that they're Joe Chill, wishing that they were Joe Chill, wishing that he could stop his parents' murder every single night, until he learns that the only person who wants to stop his parents' murder more than him is his parents' murderer, Joe Chill.
I threw my life away, kid.
And this isn't thanks to any vengeance that Bruce has gotten. Joe's been in Blackgate since long before the Batman's existence, and it doesn't even seem that Bruce knows the significance of the man in the commissary when Matches meets Joe for the first time. And at the climax of the game, Bruce finally internalizes all the lessons that Leslie has been trying to teach him the entire time that they've known each other. Harvey never quite gets to internalize that message though, because unfortunately Harvey's dad never really sees justice. He gets his kid taken away from him plenty of times, but he never goes to prison. I'm not sure if this is thanks to lack of proof or if this is just because his dad was clearly mentally ill. I don't know. I'm not a freaking lawyer. But the failure of the justice system means that Harvey feels that he can only resolve the situation in one way. And because of that, Harvey sees justice and revenge as one and the same. There's a fantastic interview on Batman Arkham Video's channel with Dr. Eric Bender, a psychologist who worked on set with Camouflaj on Arkham Shadow, that provides an interesting glimpse into the production of the game and how they managed to represent Harvey's dissociative personality disorder as accurately as possible.
So one thing that I kind of assumed was just how it worked in reality was for folks who have a dissociative identity disorder, like Two-Face does in like the previous games or in some of the films, he quickly switches between the two alters or multiple alters, right? And you were telling us that that's actually not an accurate depiction and that there needs to be something more of a tell or some sort of... Yeah.
There's some marker, sometimes it's a physical motion or it's maybe a sound somebody makes showing that there's a switch into another personality. And I really liked watching Troy do that. And he even took it further because one thing we talked about was that each personality has to have some relationship to the original personality. There has to be some reason this is happening. So that's why I love that it wasn't cartoonish. It was clear that, okay, this person would protect Harvey, or this person would act out the violent feelings that he might have had towards his father that he couldn't act out as a child. So there's a reason for each of them. And I remember one of the coolest moments for me was Troy actually asked me, why would Harvey no longer show this altar? And I was saying, think about the relationship he'd have to that altar, and maybe that altar's finished serving him in some way. And then he's like, oh, and it was really cool to watch him take that in.
This clip also changed my entire view on the story. After my initial playthrough, I just didn't understand where the Rat King went after the climax of the game. But it makes perfect sense that after Bruce would completely break both Harvey and the Rat King's senses of justice, that he would need something new to protect himself from this realization. Because if Bruce is wrong about what justice is, then what is justice? Perhaps justice is the way his father used to punish him? I mean, if Joe Chill wasn't worthy of justice, but Harvey's father was, then what is justice? Is it just the flip of a coin? Bruce had become a monster to enforce justice, then why shouldn't Harvey? And I think we all know how the rest of that story goes. I've definitely come to the realization that this game's story is my favorite in the Arkhamverse, which is insane to say. And like I said earlier, I'm just so astounded by how well combat and Predator translate over to the game. Basically everyone I've talked to who has actually played the game is impressed with just how much was brought over from the other Arkham games, and I'm talking to like speedrunners, I'm talking to modders, I'm talking to diehard Arkham fans. I remember on my first playthrough, the first time I slid into a grate, I was like, oh my god, I can do the thing, and there's just a ton of stuff where you're like, I can do that? Like, I mean, on that footage, I just saw myself do a combo backclaw slam. I didn't even remember that was a thing. I know a ton of people want a console Arkham game rather than another VR entry in the series, but honestly, I would be totally down for Camouflaj and another studio to work on Arkham games simultaneously, even if that studio is modern Rocksteady. With how good Arkham Shadow was, I think it'd just be a shame for Camouflaj not to realize their full vision in the Arkhamverse. Even though Camouflaj interacts with the community is absolutely amazing. And they invited a ton of creators, including a couple people I know, to play the game early. They've done tons and tons of Q&As with people on the internet. The devs are usually paying attention to the bug reports in the Batman Arkham videos and MetaQuest community Discord servers. They've even been giving away Arkham Shadow t-shirts to hardcore fans, including yours truly. Clown Puncher was even talking recently about how him and I believe some of the other YouTubers had input on the Bolton boss fight and how it got some new attacks added to it at one point, which was great because I remember that on my original playthrough I was kind of bored in the Bolton boss fight. It got incredibly repetitive, but then they added the Bane-esque attacks, which was just a perfect addition to the fight. I mean, obviously the game was nowhere near perfect when it came out. It was riddled with bugs and glitches, and I mean, I got through a wall at one point and I had I guess not at one point, at plenty of points once I realized how to replicate the glitch. Like, they already patched it though, which kind of sucks, but it just means they're updating the game a ton. And the monthly updates that we've gotten so far have been phenomenal. I mean, we're getting another one this month. We've already gotten 3. I'm pretty sure this one wasn't even planned, by the way. I'm pretty sure they're just doing this because they got Game of the freaking Year, or Game of the VR Year. VR Game of the Year. How do I English? Still feels weird to praise Arkham Shadow after hating it that much 8 months ago.
WB, if you're listening, I really want to love what you guys are doing to any extent, but I can't. It's impossible. You guys fucking suck.
Finally caught a W. Anyway, I guess that's all I got to yap about. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment if you have something interesting to say, or I don't know, comment the word blueberries. I don't know. Why did that come to my mind? I don't know. Click on the next video. How do you call to action? This is a call to action, I guess. Anyway, bye.